Before he could write his name properly, he could already play music that astonished Europe. Before most children learned to read, he was performing for kings and emperors. And before he reached the age of 36, he had written more than 600 works that would reshape Western music forever. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is often remembered as a child prodigy, a musical miracle frozen in youth. But behind the legend lies a life marked by relentless work, financial anxiety, fragile health, and a constant struggle between artistic freedom and social reality. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was born on January 27, 1756, in Salzburg, then part of the Holy Roman Empire. His father, Leopold Mozart, was a respected violinist, composer, and music teacher in the service of the Archbishop of Salzburg. Leopold quickly recognized his son's extraordinary talent and made the decision that would define Wolfgang's life. The child would be trained, disciplined, and displayed as a musical phenomenon. Mozart's sister, Maria Anna, known as Nannerl, was also highly gifted, but as was typical of the time, her career was eventually set aside. By the age of 5, Mozart was composing simple pieces and performing with remarkable precision. Leopold took his children on extended tours across Europe, exposing Wolfgang to the courts of Munich, Vienna, Paris, London, and Rome. These journeys were exhausting, lasting years, and often conducted under difficult conditions. Mozart performed before royalty, aristocrats, and intellectuals, absorbing styles from Italian opera, German symphonic tradition, and French elegance. These early travels shaped his musical language and gave him an international perspective unmatched by most composers of his era. Despite the glamour often associated with these tours, Mozart's childhood was far from carefree. He practiced relentlessly, performed constantly, and lived under immense pressure to impress. Illness was frequent, and rest was rare. Leopold controlled nearly every aspect of his son's life, from finances to career decisions, believing that discipline and obedience were necessary to protect Wolfgang's future. As Mozart grew older, the novelty of the prodigy faded. What had once been a marvel became an expectation. Audiences admired him, but no longer showered him with the same enthusiasm or financial rewards. Mozart struggled to transition from child sensation to independent adult composer. Salzburg, where he was employed as a court musician, offered stability but little artistic freedom. The Archbishop treated musicians as servants, and Mozart deeply resented the rigid hierarchy and lack of respect. In 1781, after a humiliating conflict with the Archbishop's representatives in Vienna, Mozart made a radical decision. He broke free from court employment and attempted to survive as a freelance composer, performer, and teacher. This was an unusual and risky path at the time. Without a noble patron, income depended on commissions, concerts, and lessons, all of which were unpredictable. Mozart settled in Vienna, where he married Constanze Weber in 1782, against his father's wishes. Their marriage was affectionate, but financially unstable. Mozart's income fluctuated wildly. Periods of success, filled with concerts and commissions, were followed by long stretches of debt. He often lived beyond his means, not out of extravagance alone, but because appearances mattered in Viennese society. To be perceived as successful was often necessary to remain employed. Artistically, these years were extraordinary. Mozart composed piano concertos that redefined the relationship between soloist and orchestra. He wrote symphonies of remarkable emotional depth and clarity. His operas, particularly The Marriage of Figaro, Don Giovanni, and The Magic Flute, revolutionized the genre by blending humor, tragedy, psychological insight, and social commentary. Mozart's characters were not symbols or stereotypes. They were human beings with contradictions, desires, and flaws. Despite his genius, Mozart never fully secured the stable patronage he needed. Political changes, shifting tastes, and economic instability in Vienna all worked against him. The death of Emperor Joseph II reduced support for German-language opera, and Mozart found himself increasingly marginalized. His health declined, likely worsened by stress, overwork, and poor living conditions. In 1791, Mozart received a mysterious commission to compose a requiem mass. The commission came through an intermediary and was intended for a nobleman who wished to pass the work off as his own. Mozart, already ill, became obsessed with the piece, convinced at times that he was writing music for his own funeral. While this belief has been romanticized over time, it reflects his deteriorating physical and emotional state. Mozart continued working feverishly, composing the Magic Flute and La Clemenza di Tito alongside the Requiem. In December 1791, he fell seriously ill and died on December 5th at the age of 35. The exact cause of death remains uncertain, but there is no credible evidence that he was poisoned. He was buried in a common grave in accordance with Viennese burial practices of the time, not out of neglect, but standard procedure. After his death, Mozart's reputation grew steadily. His widow, Constanza, worked tirelessly to preserve his legacy, organizing concerts, selling manuscripts, and ensuring that his music continued to be performed. Over time, Mozart came to be recognized not merely as a prodigy or entertainer, but as one of the central figures in Western music. What makes Mozart extraordinary is not just technical brilliance, but emotional truth. His music captures joy without shallowness, sorrow without despair, and complexity without confusion. He wrote with astonishing speed and clarity, yet his works feel deeply considered and human. He understood drama, humor, and vulnerability in ways that remain modern even centuries later. Mozart lived in a world that did not yet know how to support independent artists. He paid for that mismatch with insecurity and early death, but his music transcended the limitations of his life. Today, it speaks across centuries, cultures, and languages, reminding us that genius does not always live comfortably, but it endures. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was not simply a child miracle or a tragic figure. He was a working composer, navigating a changing world, pushing music toward emotional honesty and structural perfection at the same time. And in doing so, he left behind a body of work that continues to define what music can be.